independent clauses, introductory clauses with non-restrictive clauses, appositives, set off quotes, names sometimes, dates sometimes, and lists, except the last one, which is optional. Commas serve a lot of functions. Periods and a sentence. Beautifully simple. But even if you study all the comma rules, you may, like me, still not feel very comma confident. And in order to explain why that is, we have to talk about this guy. This will never be a blue toy small dog. Rather, this is a small blue toy dog. If you study English long enough, you'll actually be able to feel why the first one sounded wrong, but the second one didn't. But you might not be able to explain why you feel that way. As it turns out, when it comes to modifiers, English speakers feel most comfortable sorting them by opinion, size, age, shape, color, origin, material, purpose. So, a black 5-year-old idea collecting notebook will almost never be a idea collecting black 5-year-old notebook. And this little quirk actually helps illustrate how we acquire language. You see, almost no native English speaker actually can list off that rule or ever studied it. They just acquire it through years of input. But someone who's learning English as a second language might take the time to sit down and memorize this rule, because until you're exposed to enough input, there's really no way to make sense of this ridiculous rule. One of many that English has. Now, you might be wondering, if we can learn the order of modifiers through input, why don't we pick up all these comma rules through input? Well, in a way we do, but you see, input works both ways, with correct usage and incorrect usage. And I'm not talking about your grammar being corrupted by that friend's text message or that comment section that's written incoherently. Most people will avoid using commas altogether before they risk putting one in the wrong place. I'm talking about your grammar being corrupted by Jane Austen. Steven Pinker's The Sense of Style isn't about his excellent hair, although it could be, but rather his excellent views on writing. He explains, not only are commas partly regulated by prosody, patterns of stress, intonation, rhythm, and sound, but until recently that was their principal function. Writers used to place them wherever they thought a pause felt natural, regardless of the syntax. It is a truth universally acknowledged that a single man in possession of a good fortune must be in want of a wife. Austen's sentence today would be stripped of both commas. So, older sentences often have commas that by today's grammatical rules are used incorrectly. There's nothing wrong with those authors. They were operating under a different set of rules. But those sentences can be confusing to students trying to learn how to use commas, and students spend most of their time in school reading old sentences that worked with different comma rules than what they're expected to write with. So while those great old literary masters might be improving the way you look at the human condition, they might actually be hurting your chances of getting those comma questions on the SAT correct. Now, some of you might be wondering, does this even matter anymore? How to use a comma? Isn't there like AI correction software that fixes all this for us anyway? Well, that software is getting really, really good. But the problem with fully relying on AI corrections is that you lose the ability to detect when the AI corrections are wrong. I mean, Google Docs is audacious enough to try and get me to fix that Jane Austen sentence I typed a few paragraphs back. Most humans would know better than to try and edit or correct one of the most famous openings in all of literature. And even if AI grammar correction becomes infallible, it runs the risk of making us over-reliant on the same type of sentences that we already type. I see far too many students completely avoid using if-then statements, parentheticals, semicolons, etc., because they're afraid of doing it wrong. And when you never vary up the way you're writing your sentences, they can become a little stale, especially over the length of something like an essay. But I do think there are two ways that we can directly help with our collective comma confusion. Number one, read more professionally edited modern writing. There are a lot of reasons we should all be doing this already, but one additional reason is that reading modern fiction and nonfiction increases the input of proper comma usage and will make us better at using them ourselves. Number 2 is to stop stressing so much over grammar. We need to give ourselves permission to make mistakes. Otherwise, how are we going to learn from those mistakes? But we need to pair that permission with the tools and skills to address and edit those mistakes when we are called upon to present things like formal writing. So there you have it. I hope this video helped address why we are so confused by commas and maybe gives you a little bit of permission to take some risks and try out some new types of sentences, and don't stress too much if you're wrong. It's okay. It's not the most important thing in the world. What is important is growing as a writer. And if you want to write more, especially outside of the digital realm, I highly encourage you to check out the 2 companies that have been supporting the channel listed down in the description below. Both Field Notes, my favorite notebooks, and St. Louis Art Supply, my favorite place to get amazing high quality pencils, have been super generous and have been working with the channel to provide all of you with a wonderful promo code that also helps the channel out. So if you're looking for a discount on art supplies or notebooks and want to support some great local businesses to the Midwest area, please check out Field Notes, St. Louis Art Supply, promo code down in the description. Get yourself a discount and get writing. Thank you so much for checking out this video. Hope it helped. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments below. I'll try and answer all of them. And until next time, happy reading and happy writing.